Wildcat Gun Machine is a twin-stick, bullet-hell dungeon crawler that seems to be inspired by games like Enter the Gungeon but doesn't have roguelike elements. You are a cat lady who moves from room to room and slays eldritch monsters, without having the slightest idea why. I have to say, I was a bit confused when the game just dropped me into a room without any explanation. There is no cutscene, no introduction of the protagonist, and no narrative whatsoever. On the store page there is something about liberating giant mech robots from demonic elder gods, but that's pretty much all you get. Maybe it's just me, but with a name like Wildcat Gun Machine, I was expecting something more. The game is divided into 4 acts, 3 of which have the same gameplay loop. You enter a room, the doors close, and you have to kill all enemies in order to move on. Eventually, you reach a mini-boss that drops a key when defeated, and with this key you can unlock the next color-coded area. Once you killed both mini-bosses of a stage, you'll face a more powerful boss. That is the last obstacle on the way to the next act. Surprisingly, the first act is very easy, with just a few enemies shooting slow projectiles, while you casually stroll across the room. I was wondering why there was no dash, and the simple answer is you don't need it at that point, but you will get it and need it later on. Combat feels pretty smooth, and there's a decent variety of enemy types with different skills and attack patterns. Each room is handcrafted, which sounds a lot better than it actually is. It's mostly just square rooms with some extra walls, consistent enemy encounters, and a few environmental hazards like bombs and laser beams. The game's store description promises difficult combat puzzles, but it all feels quite random and there's no need to strategize. You just go in, dodge bullets, mow everything down, and move on. The bosses are the highlight of the game. Each of them has a distinct set of skills and they offer a nice challenge. Although with many bosses and enemies, it's easy to avoid damage if you position yourself correctly. Most of your guns reach further than the enemy's attacks, so if you just keep your distance, you can easily turn this into the most boring bullet hell game ever. However, without exploring this, the bosses are fun and will really test your ability to dodge. Whenever a main boss is defeated, they turn back into a gun machine that can be used as a special attack. Once the meter is filled up, you can hop in and become invincible for a short amount of time, which is quite satisfying, but obviously can't be used often. Overall, there are 40 guns and 3 grenades in this game, but you're only allowed to carry 2 guns at a time, a weak pistol with infinite ammo and one of the special weapons that does more damage but eventually runs out of bullets. New pistols can be bought at a checkpoint with bones you get from defeated enemies or random corpses. Special weapons, on the other hand, are scattered across the map. All weapons have different damage outputs and fire rates, and often come with unique features like homing bullets, laser beams, or exploding ammo. Unfortunately though, each new weapon you find is always better than the previous ones, and it's not possible to upgrade a gun. So, unless you want to put yourself at a disadvantage, you always have to switch to the newest one, no matter how much you like a certain type. And if you do want to swap out a weapon, you have to return to the last checkpoint. Apart from buying new weapons and changing your loadout, you can also get character upgrades there. According to the devs, these skill upgrades suit the player's gameplay style, but it's really just extra lives, increased movement speed, and stuff like cooldown reductions or extra charges for your dash and grenades. No new abilities or anything that would significantly change the way you play. Whenever you die, you have the choice to respawn at the last checkpoint or at your corpse, which uses up one of the cat lives. With the first option, you will lose some bones and all enemies in an area will respawn, while with the second option, it's just the enemies in the room you died in. However, your gun machine meter will be reset and your ammo won't be refilled, so good luck clearing that room now with nothing but your pistol. It's a weird design choice and makes walking back to a checkpoint much more appealing than using one of the respawn cats. My biggest gripe with the game is that it quickly gets monotonous, which is worsened by the soundtrack. There are different tracks for each stage, and some of them are pretty decent. But there are many short loops that are way too repetitive, which can also be said about monster sounds. Presentation-wise, there's a lot to admire here though, and it's a shame that the rest of the game doesn't match this quality. Overall, Wildcat Gun Machine's interesting visuals, fluid combat, and fun bosses are overshadowed by the lack of narrative, weird design choices, unsatisfying progression, and repetitive gameplay. There are some fun moments here, but in a genre full of great games, it doesn't do enough to stand out. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and let me know what you think of this game in the comments below.